What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy King again, back in the building. And today I'm there with one of the legends, one of the real legends of the space. Them call him the walking encyclopedia, the man that knows it all, the man that if I'm in no doubt about anything whatsoever, this is the man that you can ask and he has the answer for you. Mr. Simon Preston, how's everything, man? Welcome to the channel. How's everything? Greatness. How's everything?
Yeah, good afternoon, Sir David. How are you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Most things under control. Kingston is very, very hot as we speak, but everything is everything. Can't complain. So just ready for the busy year that we'll have ahead, and trusting that all will fall into place as when November come, we're all celebrating a World Cup qualification. That's what we want to say.
Yeah, most definitely. And we're gonna get around to the great things that you've been doing, because we have noticed all of the great things. We have noticed all of the new things that we are going on the JFF, especially with what you add to it. But this is an opportunity also to get to know Simon Preston and his story. So for me, it's not about reaching there. We know everybody want to reach there. We're going to JFF. Everybody want to know we're going there. So, but first and foremost, Simon, tell me a bit more about you growing up. How was it growing up? Which part at the island you come from? Which part your parents from? And all of those things. Because interesting thing, we're gonna get to know Simon Preston today.
Yeah, sure. So I was born in St. Andrew, Jamaica, Nuttall Hospital in the early 90s. And in terms of my journey, of course, as you know, from the Jamaican motto, out of many one people. So I come from a mixed race, you could say, marriage. Yes, both of my parents were born in Jamaica, but you could say ethnicity-wise, my mother's side is Indian, and my father's side English, white. So my great-grandparents on both sides, father and mother side, came from different lands. So you could say I'm a third generation Jamaican from that standpoint. In the grand scheme of things, I attended Hillel Academy Prep School, Hillel Academy High School, and the University of the West Indies. Those were my institutions in relation to education. And you could say I've lived 95% of my life within Jamaica. The only education that you could say I did outside of Jamaica was, the footballing side of things at the Scottish Football Association, where I did a level 1 in talent identification. Yes, I've traveled around quite a bit. I'm sure we'll get into that quite shortly. But in terms of that journey, at least you have a bit of background. I do have siblings. I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm the youngest of all my siblings, but the tallest of all my siblings. So that's an interesting thing there. I still stay in touch with every single one of them. We have a WhatsApp group where we all keep in touch. So even though we might be in different corners of the globe, at least we're in touch. Even if it is once a week, we drop some messages in the group, checking on everybody, and so on. Some of them have their families as well. Some of them married with kids. So they send pictures as well. So I get to see and stay in touch with my nieces and nephews, which is very good as well. I have one of my brothers, one of his sons is a goalkeeper at Kingston Football Academy. He even trained at the National Goalkeeper Clinic last year with the former goalkeeper coach, Goodmundo or Heredison. So he's progressing nicely in his sort of development. In terms of if I had a sporting family, well, my father went to Calabar High School. I needed the shot put and discus for Calabar. He was the first. He was the first person at Champs to win Class 2 in both shot put and discus. Yes, persons have won those events, but to win Class 2 shot put and discus in the same year, my father was the first person to do that. So we have a similar build. I mean, he was 6'4", I'm 6'5", but we have a similar stature in that sort of aspect of things. My mom played netball, but nothing beyond a high school level. So you could say there is a degree of sporting interest within my family, which is very nice. It's very good to know that sort of background. So yeah, it's an interesting makeup of family, and that's basically some info about the background that I do have.
Okay, good, because you answer a lot of questions. Them like a lot of questions for me. But all right, so I was in relation to the sporting side and in relation to the journalist side, because on the last video that you did, I already spoke about you being introduced to television at a young age. How did that come about? Where did you find your interest in journalism? And also, where did you find your interest in football? Not only football, because I think I think we don't want to limit Mr. Simon Preston, the walking encyclopedia, to football, because me know say your knowledge go way beyond football. So in terms of sports, and then come around to football, when did you find that real love for yourself? And when did you find the love for journalism yourself? At what age?
Yeah, good question. Just let me start on the playing aspect of things. I did represent my school in football as a centre back. I did play alongside a few players that went on to represent Jamaica. Luca Levy, he has one cap, and also Justin McMaster, who got a cap as well. So those are individuals I played with. I really felt that Justin was going to go a bit further than he did, but it was just an absolute pleasure to play with him. So from a playing standpoint, I did play football as a centre back. I was more of the ball-playing centre-back, not necessarily the
Virgil van Dijk.
more like a John Stones. That
Okay.
was my touch. Yeah, not the quickest, so definitely had to read the game more in that sort of aspects. Because the persons with the lower center of gravity, they were faster. In terms of the other aspect, in terms of getting into sports from that journalism media sort of aspect, you could say that was when I was 12. So around 2006, KLAS, they had the radio rights for the World Cup, and they had me on their panel. How did that took about? I had a conversation with Jeffrey Maxwell, former national player and coach, in a hotel one day, and he recommended me to KLAS to be part of their panel for the World Cup. So basically, that is where it started. And of course, hearing me on KLAS led for Television Jamaica to have me on their panel for the 2006 World Cup final. So this is when I was 12. And basically, you could say that opened things. I wouldn't say it knocked the door down, but at least it was experience that I was garnering at that age of analyzing games on radio and television. But I would say the first you could say real breakthrough was 2010, when I was 16, with the quiz show competition Set Play, and of course being on the World Cup with CVM TV as one of the analysts. That I would say was the breakthrough as to, yes, this is the industry I want to be in. These are some aspects that I want to do moving forward, and I had a clear idea of what I wanted to do with my life. 2010 onwards, that you could say was a start of me knowing what I want to do, and basically the aspects that make me happy and served my purpose. So that was the real start of things. Yes, you could say that in terms of outside of football, I have experience in other aspects not many people know, but I used to be also the video analyst for Jamaica Tallawah's cricket team in the CPL 2013 to 2016. So I did actually edit clips and show the coaching staff, and then from there the show to the players. So I do have that sort of a background. So I did do video analysis in cricket, and of course I've done reporting in track and field as well. Usain Bolt's last race in London, the World Championship. So yes, being in the industry, you're exposed to other sporting disciplines, and the experience came over time. I've worked with Jamaica's rugby team when they went to the World Cup in 2022, and Jamaica's women's lacrosse team when they went to the World Cup also in 2022 as well. So I've done coverage in journalism outside of football. So in terms of the experience that I've garnered, I've appreciated it greatly. So I appreciate it.
Would you say football is the sport you love the most?
150% yes. 1,000,000% yes. That is.
And why is that? Why is that the case? Why is football the sport that you love the most out of all of the sports that you've been introduced to, this involved with? Why would you say football? What makes football so special for you?
It's a good question, really, really good question. It's a sport that makes me happy. Maybe it was because it was the first sport that was introduced to me by one of my older brothers, Andrew, when I was 5-6 years old, and giving me information about players, and that led me to carry around a book with scores and statistics and data. So I think that itself was the reason.
Where is that book, Simon? Where is that book? You still have it? Simon, don't tell me that you still have that book. People, Simon, you see why the man is the walking encyclopedia?
Yeah, still have it right here.
Oh my word! That book is how old? How long now?
This book, 99. So this
wow.
Over 20 years, 24 years.
Wow.
Some of them have pictures as well. Like that's me and Anandi Lowe,
Oh
so,
wow.
I do have pictures as well. But yeah, I still keep it to this very day. To this very day, I still keep it. It was just a passion. Still a passion that I have to this very, very day. So I love it, and I'm grateful that I could say that it is paying bills. So I appreciate that greatly, 150%. I'm doing what I love.
Yeah, definitely. Doing what you love. You know what they say about doing what you love? You never work a day in your life. So here's the thing. So we're going to pick up from set play. So people, if you guys don't know, I was a part of set play as well. But may I tell you, once them asked the question and set play, this man was hitting the buzz. I was wondering if they told you the questions before, bro. That's how quick. The man is a walking encyclopedia. From man ear off of the question, he knows the answer. So moving on from set play, we were all 19. Oh, 16.
Yeah.
I think they're about, right? So because we were still in high school, so from there you chose to have a career in journalism. So what did you do as it relates to the career? Did you go to university, and then how does the educational part of it go now, from set play until now?
Yeah, so I was in fourth form by the time set play took place. So I did fifth form, did sixth form, and after sixth form in university, yes, my major was broadcasting journalism, and my minor was French and Spanish. So I did go to the University of the West Indies in Kingston, Mona campus, and I graduated in 2016. So it's a 3-year program, Bachelor of Arts program. So that was my major, journalism, and my minor was French and Spanish. So that is what I studied in university, and it was a program where you were taught about how you present. So there's a different style and a different way how you present, whether you're writing for online or newspaper, or you're presenting like you're presenting now, YouTube, radio and TV. There's a different style to it. So all of those practices were sort of taught as well. Your pronunciation of words, ethics as well, checking sources and all of those things. So that was the comprehensive, like you'd say, course code that was given to us as students when I went there. So I think it helped, and I appreciate the time being there as well in grasping the concept. So it was a good experience, generally. I really do.
Okay, so while we speak about that, I'm going to use the opportunity to speak about something that's current, right? Because currently you did a video the other day in regards to how YouTubers disseminate information, and I really like how you spoke about it, and I learned a lot from it, because when you said about checking sources and when you said about quotations, if there's no quotes there, I think, and this is an opportunity for us as YouTubers and people out there to also understand these things, to know that, all right, there are stories, and then this is how you can interpret a story to know if it's true or not. So we're going to continue the story, but use the opportunity to tell us some things that we should be looking for in these stories.
Yeah, and you know my style as well, David. I am not beating anybody. The sole purpose of that was frustration of the fact of newspaper articles being written and not having quotes in it. So to this very day, having articles, Richard King to Rangers. And when you ask the Rangers head coach, manager at the press conference, he says, who? And there's nothing around it. So that is what I'm saying in terms of credibility. When you know that a story is true versus when it is not true, then you're having the quotes from a representative of that club, whether it is the head coach, whether it is the owner or sporting director, or whoever's in charge of transfers. Once you have a quote from that person, then it gives you the credibility to your story where you know, yeah, this is definitely true. This is definitely factual. So there's nothing in Richard King to Rangers at all. There's like 0%. Of course, there's interest in Richard King to play outside of Jamaica, 100%. But the point I was making in that video in particular was specifically newspaper articles and that situation. And the second part I was saying about asking questions at press conferences, it is more directed to, what players that are in the Jamaica Premier League, no matter what job you have, when you're speaking bad about your current employers, it can affect you. You can lose your job, or you can also be in a situation where you can get beyond probation or suspension. And I'm saying the type of questions that we can ask players in the JPL, you don't want to put them in a situation where they ever speak badly about their club. So say, for example, a player at his club saying, yeah, man, I'm ready I'm tired of this club. I'm tired of play at McLaren. You know, he's there publicly speaking badly about his club, which can have negative impacts on him. Of course, he has the ambition to play abroad, make a living, progress his football further. Every player have that, absolutely. But you don't want the player to be put in a situation where, you know, his future is affected. So that was the purpose of the video, not beating people online. Absolutely not. It was just pure out of frustration of the newspaper articles and the latter part of what I said. Honestly.
Yeah. Well, definitely, Simon, me can admit personally that for you to have a background in journalism, there was initially a quote unquote, I would say, divide between actual journalists that went to school to do journalism and YouTubers who, as I say, anybody can just take out them camera and just go on YouTube. So a lot of the things that happen is that some of us really and truly we try to ask the hardcore questions, but as you say, sometimes you don't want to put a player in a position for a really damage him image. So it's about really and truly who want to learn will learn. And the great thing with you, I must admit, is that you really try to put some information out there where we can pick from to make ourselves better with the whole interviewing process, with the whole thing. Because yes, doing YouTube is all good, but getting it organized is even better. So I must say, for me, I respect you with that. I respect that you seem to very involve YouTubers, because even with 876, not 876, even with JFF Live, even with that, I see that the first time you guys started and get some YouTubers for do the commentary and stuff like that. So I see where I can tell you personally, and I see where you involve YouTubers, and not only say, you know, YouTubers, them not gonna school, so them not deserve it. There, I see where you appreciate us. And I can tell you that from my perspective. I'm saying that turn your back on us, and I must say big up for that as well. But why you view it like an open door situation, and why you don't view like YouTubers as them should have got to school for that, close the door on them? What's in you that makes you view it like that?
I think it's important that when you have something. Jamaica is what you call a constitutional monarchy, so you have freedom of expression, and YouTube is a form of online content. So therefore, you don't restrict by any means at all. So there's regulations. You have also the Press Association of Jamaica. So you also have rules within the country that shows that you can't prohibit or stop from that sort of aspect of things. So there are also rules in our country that allows that persons have these sorts of opportunities, whether it could be at a press conference or attending a match, etc. And I do think the coverage is really needed as well. The coverage is needed because you have a guarantee as well that as soon as a press conference is finished, you are going to speak about it. But when it comes to, for example, TV, they'll use 15 seconds of what quote says, and that is it. While you will dissect every quote, every sentence that quote says. So what YouTube gives is the ability to be able to speak about all aspects. While with television, because of the limited time in the sports news, they use 10-second clip from a quote, and that is it. Same for radio as well. So with YouTube, they have the opportunity of playing the full press conference, and you can dissect every minute and say, guys, you hear what quote say? You hear what quote say? You don't have that time with TV or radio. You don't. So that is why it is so important. So that when an interview is done with a player, you can play all of it and dissect it. With TV, you can't do that at all. So that is why I view it as a very, very important stakeholder group, and one that is going to play an important role in coverage and also in relation to us towards 2026 tremendously, because the World Cup is around the corner and it's in our backyard as well. So that's key.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on to you getting involved now with, I don't want to go to JFF as yet, because you did also say that you have worked with numerous different radio stations, TV stations. So you can go ahead and list out some, and go ahead and list out how those came along, because I also heard you say BBC, and I'm like, whoa, Simon, BBC, that's a big one. So go ahead and take us from Set Play and the different media entities that you have been a part of so far before we reach JFF.
Sure. So like 2006 was KLAS for the 2006 World Cup. 2010 was, as you know, we had a set play competition, and of course CVM for the World Cup itself in 2010, and also as well in 2014 as well. So those two tournaments with CVM. I wasn't a full-time staff member at CVM. I was still at school, so therefore it was part-time, and it was a situation where it's only for schoolboy football or only for the under-17 World Cup. So it was like project by project, not necessarily you are employed to that organization. So that was a situation with CVM, but still fantastic experience. Grateful for it. In between that, yeah, Sportsmax 2012 during the UEFA Champions League, worked on the run in the Champions League final in 2012. So that was Sportsmax. 2014, I made mention about CVM already. And then 2015, 2016, I did coverage for IRI FM in terms of cricket, in terms of the updates for the Jamaica Towers, while being an analyst as well, also providing updates back home to Jamaica. What was the score? What was going on? And all of that sort of aspect of things. Before that, though, the body of work that I got, I received the Prime Minister's Award in Journalism. This was in 2014. To date, still the youngest in my category to win it in the Caribbean. I was 19 at the time, so I'm grateful for that. I graduated university in 2016, and then when I graduated, I joined KLAS full-time in 2017, was there for 8 months and 9 days, and then I joined Television Jamaica, TVJ, and I was there from 2017 to 2022. So that's 4.5 years, and it was tremendous because you even had training when it comes to having a teleprompter in front of you, your pronunciation of words. So that was an amazing experience to professionalism. So I'm grateful for the time at TVJ. It was fantastic in that sort of aspect of things. And yeah, in terms of media houses, you know, I made mention about some of them already. You highlighted BBC. In terms of the corresponding thing, it was during the World Cup qualifiers of the 2018 World Cup qualifying cycle, where they would want updates from Jamaica. Simon was a scorer who made his debut. Well, you know, Giles Barnes did this and that. So it was just updates from that sort of standpoint of things. So it has been a great journey. And the statistics company Perform, Opta, for the Jamaica Premier League, I was the one that basically sent Opta and performed the data on the Jamaica Premier League. And eventually what has led now is that, you know, I have Y-Scout partnering with the JPL. So I'm glad that there has been progression in coverage. So you can say, okay, Brian Brown have 10 goals and 3 assists, and this, you know, breakdown of his passing and movement. So that is progress for the JPL, and it will only expand their skill set even more to clubs overseas as well. So yeah, it's a body of work. You know, it just has been work. It's hard to sit down and like court or to meet a young lady. It's tough, David. But I mean, you know, everything in time. You know, still not married. I don't have any kids, but you know, one day at a time.
Go and put in the work, man. Go and put in the work. The work is not going unnoticed, and that's an excellent body of work you just mentioned just now. Excellent body of work. Well, let's move around. And one day, the time will come. You're still a young man. Don't sweat it. You're still a young man. But all right, so let's move around to Jamaica football now. JFF. How did you get involved with the JFF, and how did that come about, and how has that been? And I want just tell us how you get involved first before we get into the nitty-gritty of the questions. How did you get involved?
Good question. So 2010, you remember I was on the panel with CVM for the World Cup. I was on the panel alongside Roy Simpson, who is the general manager of the JFF. So, of course, we worked on many matches together during the panel. And I think I did my best to make a good impression. And as a result of that, he made recommended me to who was the director of operations at the time, Janice Rosebrown, and of course, Captain Horace Burrell. So I think as a result of that, that led me to an opportunity where I was an intern there, and a situation where I was doing part-time work with the federation. So that's where it started while I was actually in university. So 2010 was the start of that. It's amazing how time flies. 15 years. Wow.
Yeah, long time.
So you could say 15 years association with the federation, but I haven't been. You could say during that time frame, though, the first time you could say it's full time, we could say, would have been since 2023, but I've been doing things part time since 2010. Maybe some people didn't know that, but yeah, I've been associated since the year 2010. I've been a great resource tool to Mr. Simpson and everything in terms of when he puts everything together for the technical staff. So I've honestly enjoyed it, and I can honestly say what I'm doing now, I really do love it. So in terms of JFF, 2010, 15 years, just shaking my head just in terms of the time that has gone by so fast right now. Honestly.
And I'm happy that you brought up the timeline, because now we can move into, because you were there when Captain was there, right? So in terms of the federation, what are some of the major changes you would have seen? How was it like under Captain compared to now? In terms of, because people have a lot to say. Captain used to do the bit of man for real, like using more resources to do all of that. Now we are seeing where JFF is becoming more self-sustainable, but some of the things that you can see and say that are so obvious, what are some of the difference in terms of where we're coming from as a federation to where are we now?
Well, it's interesting, David, because in 2010, Captain Burrell had recorded close to $2 million in the red. And now Mr. Chung highlighted a month ago that the debt is almost cleared off with just under $200,000 in debt. So when you think about the debt that has been cut down in that space of time, it's very good. And when you factor in when we qualify for the World Cup, we're going to get 12 to 15 million $. We're going to be in a surplus quite soon. So that in itself is positive. But to answer your question directly, Captain Burrell, he carries an aura, he carries a presence, so charismatic, just an absolute hero for the nation and what he has done from the mid-90s to present. Honestly, I looked at him like a father figure. Honestly, he was a person that would listen to you, sit down, and it was a great rapport that I had with him. And even to this day, I speak to his son about him as well. So it was just a great rapport. And yeah, 2017 when he passed away, I was shocked. Genuinely, I was. Of course, I knew about his health situation, that there was deterioration in it, but it just came as a massive surprise. And honestly, it came as a shock. But I'm still grateful for the work that he has done. And now it's for us, as no matter your capacity, whether you are a staff member, administrator, a YouTuber, no matter where you are, to continue the Captain Burrell legacy and put Jamaica first. And, we want to look back and say, Captain, this was for you to get to another World Cup. So that's basically what we're working towards. So that's how I look at Captain Burrell in that sort of aspect of things. Warm individual, and there's just honestly so much that could be said about him and what he has done for football in Jamaica. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that sounds very emotional from me right there. It meant a lot. But moving into this current the current JFF as how it is, in terms of some of the growth and some of the improvement that you have seen we've made, because I know there have been a few things said about where we are in terms of our finances, because a lot of people love to focus on the finances. No two ways about it. In terms of not only finances, in terms of a lot of things, infrastructure development, some of the things that you have seen where from Captain time to now, to say we are carry on him legacy and the JFF as a whole being a much better organization, or improve our professional. I don't know the words to use. Probably you can. You have first-hand information, so you can see where it's coming from in terms of its growth and its development. Because said are the easiest thing for watch JFF. Jamaica lose a game, JFF. JFF. And yes, JFF is the body that's responsible for all things reggae boys, reggae girls. But in terms of some of the struggles and the growth, what you think that you have seen over your time?
Yeah, I think everybody might have a slight definition of what they consider as success. Some people might say black and white, their success is just qualifying for a World Cup. But then you dig a little bit deeper as well. For me, when you think about success, that is a part of success, qualifying for FIFA tournaments, 100%. But for me, I also add the element of trophies and medals. And when you factor in the last 10 years of the Reggae Boys, we've picked up 5 medals. That's a medal or a trophy every other year. And I still think that's something to praise. We're in the 10-year anniversary of our first ever World Cup final. We got a silver there, 2017 Caribbean Cup silver, World Cup silver medal, and you factor in as well a third in the Nations League last year, winning the Caribbean Cup 2014. So when you factor in what we've played in regionally, we've got 5 medals in the last 10 years. And that's not bad in the grand scheme of things. I know in between what persons would say, yes, we want to get to a World Cup now, and that is definitely the goal for next year, especially with the opportunity that lies right ahead of us. So to answer your question, yes, you can say that there has been growth tremendously. And when you factor in, Jamaica has been to 6 World Cups in our lifetime, 6 World Cups ever. 1 for senior men, 1 for under 20 men, 2 for senior women, and 2 for under 17 men as well. So we have a great opportunity this year to say that we can add another 2 or 3 more qualifications to a World Cup. Senior men, under 17 boys, and of course our junior girls as well. So we're in a year where we can continue to make more history. This time next month, we can be celebrating Jamaica qualifying for an under 17 World Cup because we're so close, 3 matches away. And it's very, very interesting in terms of, the format and the opportunities that are being expanded as well. So that's every reason to be optimistic about how we are. Of course, going to a tournament, we want to compete as well, not only make up the numbers, but one step at a time. Let's get there first. And then we have an approach about how we're going to compete. Because, of course, I've had dreams of thinking about Jamaica getting to a World Cup quarterfinal. I've had those dreams. I have dreams about the women winning the Women's World Cup as well. I even did a video about how the Reggae Girls can win the 2027 World Cup. I still have that video on Reggae Boys commentary as well, how the Reggae Girls can win the 2027 World Cup and the players that presently have passports, etc. So, yeah, I'm very optimistic in that sense and ambitious in terms of expectations as well. But when you factor in, we have over 6 million people 6 million Jamaicans living outside of Jamaica. The opportunities are endless. Honestly, it's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And Sam, I know more for ask you about now working with. How much coaches have you worked with now since you've been there? I know in your capacity you have worked with. How much coaches have you worked with in your current capacity?
Good question. I've had conversations with Coach Whitmore, Winfred Schaefer.
So while you're trying to remind yourself,
yeah,
what are some of the major differences? We can talk about the last 4. Let's talk about the last 4 and talk about the progression, what you see, and to you, what are the major differences in terms of? Because for me, let me tell you for me first. Let me introduce it. For me, I think Steve is the most outspoken in terms of what he says. Like, I use this phrase from him. I use this phrase with Darren Nunes. When Steve McLaren said they are starters and finishers, like, oh, starters and finishers, what is he talking about? But I think the wealth of knowledge what Steve McLaren have, I don't think, and this is not to bash any other coaches before, but I think that he is the most experienced, I would say. So I see where his wealth of knowledge comes from. But in terms of taking us from Mr. Schaefer to Topper, to Mr. Algrimson, now Steve McLaren. Just talk to us about those 4 coaches. Only those 4. I'm not care back any further. What are the major differences and what have you seen in terms of progression?
Well, you make a point about McLaren because he has been there, done that at the very highest level, Manchester United and England, and you garner success. Your level of, how you view football would be slightly different from somebody that may not have the experience or exposure. So certainly in terms of ideas, wisdom, he has that tremendously. You think about Jaime Hallgrimsson, and he has thrived in the underdog story with Iceland. You think about the Euros beating England, going to the World Cup, drawing with Argentina. And you could say in some aspects that was carried to Jamaica in terms of how we did on the counter attack and so on and so forth. especially that Canada game 3-2. Wow. And even the Nations League against the USA as well, in terms of the counter-attack, you could say, tremendously, that was a strength that we thrived on the counter. And, in terms of the underdog story, we certainly rose against, big nations. Not many people know this, but actually Maren Gordon was the coach before Hama Helgrimson. There was, right after Paul Hall, we had 2 friendlies in Austria where we played Morocco and we also played Qatar. So Maren Gordon was the interim coach for 2 games in Austria. Yeah, Maren, very straightforward. As a teacher as well, he has that mind of also thinking ahead, long-term SWOT analysis and all of those sort of things. So yeah, greatly benefit from him as well. And of course, the next one would have been Paul Hall, former national player, an individual that comes in with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement, somebody that loves Jamaica tremendously. And yeah, a great individual. I think those would have been the last 4, but I think it's just I'll just touch a bit on Winfred Shea for the experience that he had with Cameroon going into a Confederations Cup final as well, and just the history that he created with Jamaica, getting to a Gold Cup final, winning a Caribbean Cup, going to a Copa America and competing. I mean, wow. Yeah, and you could see the opportunities were given, as he came to Jamaica. He had local camps. After the local camps, okay, we need Giles Barnes, we need Joby McAnuff, we need Gareth McLaren, we need Wes Morgan, So I like, the structure, we see what we have overseas, we'll see what we have in Jamaica, and then, of course, decisions were made. So, yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah. Definitely. So as we are with current manager now, Steve McLaren, for me, as I said, I think it's probably our biggest ever in terms of name and profile appointment of a manager, and he comes with a wealth of knowledge. You can see he has a clear style of play that he wants to play, and I think he's working towards getting the players. Now let's move into current situation, because currently the camp coming up now is a camp for. Will it be only local based players to play against Trinidad and Tobago, or will it be? Let me say it this way, because he said don't say local, but he said domestic based, or will there be like players from the USL? And in terms of him like having an eye on the players on the island, what have you seen from him so far with that? Is he getting to know the players a lot better, from your opinion? Because that has been a lot of things being said in the space, so we just want to debunk those things.
Yeah, so in the coming days you'll hear more details, but the plan is Thursday to do a virtual press conference to announce the squad for the Trinidad games. The plan is Thursday to announce a squad. But to answer your question, yes, mainly it would be JPL players, but there certainly be an opportunity. Of course, the technical staff would think about it in terms of players apply their trade in USL and those in MLS as well. Not all are available, but certainly it's an opportunity to have a look at a few faces. Absolutely be a great opportunity. But you could say the majority will definitely come from Jamaica, just like last year. Last year when we played Trinidad, the only overseas-based player would have been Jaden Hibbert, the goalkeeper. Apart from that, everybody else was JPL players. So yeah, so that was just a little trend there. So that's what I say there. The latter part about what you said in terms of knowing the players on the island, yes. I mean, I'm sure you'd have seen photographs of him going to different games across the island. This is not something new. This is what he has done since August, especially with the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup. Seen Arnett, Mount Pleasant, Cavalier. He's seen Veer play as well. He's seen Harbourview, Waterhouse, and yep. And of course, this weekend he'll see a few more games as well, which is very good to see the different teams around the region. And then from there, you can say, okay, this is my 23. So I think that is. So from that standpoint, it's cool.
Definitely. Let's also touch on the U17s, because with the U17 World Cup, it's every year right now, right? It's going to be every year or every other year. Let me just clarify that.
All right. So from 2025 to 2029, it's going to be every year. So there will be an Under-17 World Cup 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029. So that's going to be every year. And all of them are going to be in Qatar, and all of them are going to be 48 team World Cups, which
Wow.
means that CONCACAF is going to have 8 spots. 8
Wow.
spots in CONCACAF is massive. We've
Wow.
never had that in our life. Not even on the women's side, we've even had that before. And CONCACAF on the women's side is the strongest confederation, arguably. So when you think about things as well, having 8 spots in CONCACAF, it's huge. So that means we beat Cayman Islands, we beat El Salvador, we beat St. Lucia, and we're going to a World Cup. That's how close we are. 3 matches away. So it's just an exciting prospect. And in terms of the level of preparation, we can feel quietly confident. Been to New York, been to Florida, played matches in Mexico, also on the island against JPL clubs as well. And they've not been embarrassed, or they've held their own against the JPL clubs as well. So it's been encouraging. I think it's 12 players that play outside of Jamaica, and they've integrated well with the players that are based locally on the island. So I think that is great to see as well. Always been in camp at UE at the technical center. So that's been very encouraging by Coach Butler as well. And they've actually come to watch the senior reggae boys train as well. So it's been great for them to come and see and meet players who they might have looked up to when they were younger as well. So it is just a good feeling. And think about it, they can be the first national team to go to 3 World Cups. The senior women have been to 2. Under 17 boys have been to 2, so they could be the first national team to go to 3 World Cups. So that's massive. And the last time we went to a World Cup for men would have been 2011 in Mexico. So it's huge. And that World Cup is in Qatar. It's going to be in November. November is going to be the Under 17 World Cup in Qatar. It's going to be in November, so everybody's aware. So after the qualifiers February, the World Cup is in November. So you have a solid 6 to 8 months to prepare the team. Maybe have camps in Europe, maybe have camps in Jamaica. So endless opportunities. So it's just about delivering on the day now, top in the group and then qualify.
Yeah, definitely. And to know that this is every year until 2029, the opportunities are endless. Like probably even my son can grow up, come play for under 20 and come reach a World Cup. I'm just saying I'm a cousin, I'm a brother, because that's a whole lot of opportunities though. But on the before I reach the female side, what's happening? I know that you're probably not the right person to ask because you can't give out as much, but what's happening with the U20s though? Because bridging the gap is important for me, right? Yes, the under 17 program will love to see what going right there. But in terms of the U20 program being coming back or being brought back to where it's supposed to be, you have anything you can say on that? Because I think the U20s, especially and the U21s, that's a program that you need to bridge the gap. Because taking a look at England, a lot of the players that are in the squad now or recently came from the junior team of England. So we are looking forward to see if we can see some more players from that age group, but then we need that program the right way. So hear anything about that? Just anything you can give out about that U20 program for men.
Well, the Under 20 World Cup still remains every 2 years. And basically what takes place is that in a year where you don't have qualifiers, you traditionally don't have under 20 men, on Jamaica under 20 men's team that is active. So the next under 20 qualifier would be 2026 for the next under 20 World Cup in 2027. So there's nothing at this point to say that there'll be an under 20 camp this year as yet. No details as yet. But the next under 20 World Cup is 2027, which means that the qualifiers would be 2026, which of course, as you know, is next year. We do have the under 20 women. They'll get the ball rolling in the month of February. So under 20 women, yeah, they got the ball rolling. And I do acknowledge your point in relation to what we see in England in terms of the transition from youth to senior team 100%. And that's why an under 23 is extremely critical, as well as qualifiers will come soon for the Olympic Games. As you know, the Olympic Games is a under 23 tournament for men. And the next Olympic Games is in LA, which is in the US, which means that the USA will not be in Olympic qualifiers. So you're basically having Jamaica, Canada, Mexico competing for 2 spots without the US. So I think it's a glorious opportunity as well to qualify for football at the Olympics as well. So that's why you're right in terms of age group football being so critical for what lies ahead in the next 2.5, 3 years from now, 100%.
Yeah, definitely. And let's not neglect the female side now. So talk to us about some things that's happening on the female side, as you say, about the U20s, but in terms of even the reggae girls, in terms of their development. Now the band is back together with the reggae girls. 'Cause we can say it this way: the band is back together. Because one of the things I overlooked when I asked the question in that press conference was that the band wasn't back together as much, because we don't want to say, we have to also say big up to the girls them that represented us while majority of the senior team that's now there together was away. We have to say big up to them as well. But now with the Bunny Shaw them back, and as you said, you have a video that says this is how we can win the actual World Cup. Talk to us about where you see that team. What are the endless opportunities in terms of the reggae girls, and where are the U20s? Where are the junior reggae girls team is, and the progression also making from those junior teams to the senior reggae girls team. Talk to us about that as well, because we don't want to neglect them.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of under 17 and under 20 girls, they get the ball rolling with qualifications this year. And just like the under 17 men World Cup, you also have the under 17 women's World Cup that is every year, this year to 2029. It will be in Morocco. And CONCACAF has seen an upgrade in spots from 3 spots to 4 spots. So there's an increase in World Cup spots for CONCACAF. So it's a great opportunity for Jamaica as well. Both the under 17 and under 20 girls, they have their first round of their qualifiers in Nicaragua. So the under 17 girls will get the ball rolling next week. Then a group with, of course, Nicaragua and St. Kitts and Nevis. You top that group, you advance to the final round. Same with the under 20 girls. They're in a group with Nicaragua, St. Vincent, and St. Kitts. You top that group, you advance to the final round with USA and Mexico as well. So the first round, the preliminaries of the qualifiers, they'll kick off end of January, early February for the under 20 and the under 17 girls. For the senior women, very encouraging, and I'll explain why. When you look at the nucleus of the squad being in their late teens and early 20s as well, only a handful of players you could say right now are in their 30s, and even still have enough energy, the ability, the skill set to play in another World Cup or 2 as well, based on where they are with their clubs as well. So when you look at the entire squad by extension, it's very encouraging, putting up formidable performances recently, not only against South Africa, but France as well. And you look at the squad and where they play across the globe, some playing Champions League football, some playing in La Liga in Spain, some playing in Italy as well, in Serie A, some playing in Portugal. So when you look at the caliber of players and where they're playing as well, these are really, really a talented set of girls. And the World Cup qualifying for women, senior women, that kicks off in October 2025. CONCACAF again will have 4 spots, and the teams that finish 5th and 6th, they'll head to the Intercontinental Playoffs. So big opportunity again to get to qualify for back-to-back World Cups as well. So it's huge as well in this sort of aspect of things. And we look forward for updates in relation to the FIFA windows, who they will play and so on in terms of friendlies before those qualifiers later this year in October. So I'm sure we'll have information in that quite shortly, So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, Simon. But talk to us also about JPL and the growth, because coming up now, going back to the reggae boys, and in terms of the local based players, for me, one thing I've noticed is that the teams seem to be using a lot of younger players in the JPL, right? So even the other day I heard Mr. Speed speaking about 2 fullbacks, being the Roberto Carlos and the Cafu, and what an exciting time. And if you take a look at most of the teams, just take a look at the leading goal scorers, a lot of them are 25, 20 and under. It's a lot of younger players in the leagues right now. In terms of the quality of the JPL and in terms of what's to come with this National Reggae Boys team, what are you looking for? And talk to me about the growth and the development that you have seen here on the island in terms of the JPL. Sorry to put you on the spot and I ask you the hard question then, bro, but I know that you can answer these questions, so that's why I ask you.
It's come a far way, like I told you, I used to do data analytics for Perform Opta for the JPL, for Opta, and it's come a far way where David Williams wears a number 7 today, and then next week he wears a number 10. It has come a far way since then. Names on the back of the jerseys, different numbers. You know, David, that if you want to see Manchester United starting 11, you know you can pick up your phone and 1 hour before the game, you can see the starting 11. And you can say, whoa, Rashford not starting. Da, 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 da. In JPL now, you're at that stage, but it has come a far way where even kickoff time comes and you're not sure the starting 11. So it has come a far way in that sort of aspect of things as well. You've seen the visibility, especially Jamaicans in the diaspora that go on YouTube, Sportsmax, they can be able to tune into local football, which is great. So it has come tremendously in that sort of aspect. Jamaican clubs winning regional titles as well. Arnett Gardens winning the CFU Shield, Cavalier winning the Caribbean Cup. First time a Jamaican team is winning a regional title since Portmore, 2018, 2019, thereabouts, which is fantastic. And now we are looking at the strong possibility of bringing Messi to Jamaica, which is huge, absolutely huge, and so close. So we'll be following Kansas versus Miami in February, man. We'll be following so close.
Oh, that's praying for Miami to beat them.
I know that full-time whistle. If Miami wins, tickets sell out, man. My word. Yeah, man. We'll be monitoring that score. I'm sure people will all be doing live streams on the Kansas Miami game. I'm confident about that. Because you have Liverpool fans in Jamaica, they want to meet Suarez. You have the Barca fans, them want to meet Busquets, of course, Messi, of course, the Mascherenos, etc. So there's a reason for everybody to want to be there. My word. Wait. Oh yes, going back to the JPL, yeah, it's been good. And to see now, what I would say is what I'm looking forward to see again is a player score 30 goals in the league. We haven't seen that since Rowan Nelson in 2000, 2001. So what I'd love to see moving forward is to see a player banging 30 in the season. We've seen people score 20, 25 in recent times, yes. I want to see a man get into the 30 bracket soon, like Rowan Bumpy Nelson. I think we have the ability to do that as well. So it has come some way. I do think that, the clubs can there's room for improvement in all clubs as well to ensure that the standards that they have. So when they go to CONCACAF tournaments, there's no fines or there's no culture shock. So certainly, there are certain rooms for improvements, but that will certainly come over time. So it's not at the pinnacle, it's not at the top of the mountain, but certainly has come some distance. And even CONCACAF has rated the JPL as the 10th best league in the region and number 1 in the Caribbean. So strides have been made. So not at the finish line yet, but progress. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And you definitely say that there is enough talent on the island, and in relation to the youths that I spoke about earlier and the age group being lowered, because when I used to watch JPL, and this is no shade, I used to see a lot of older players playing JPL. No, that's what I used to see. I don't know if I'm 100% right, but that's what I used to see. I think the age is being lowered right now.
Yeah, and I think 100% right. If you go back 10 years, the only teenager you would see is Alvas Powell. When he was at Portmore in 2012, he would be the only teenager you really would have seen in the league. So you're absolutely right. And I'm grateful to see the teenagers and early 20 players getting opportunities in the league. I'm so happy. Long may it continue. Long may it continue. And you have a team that has been in the 3 of the last 4 finals because of, one down to the youth as well. So I'm grateful for it, and I want it to continue as well. Long may it continue where the opportunities come to the younger players. You want, ideally, based on what is taught whenever you are involved in any sort of football and education between the ages of 18 and 23, you want to have a player get 100 caps under his belt for his club. That is critical for him to have progression. And I'm happy like somebody like a Christopher Ainsworth is on that path as well, the number of games that he's gotten. So that is the key element of things. So long may it continue. And I think it's fair to say that most, if not all the clubs, they have somebody in their late teens, early 20s in their 11. So I'm happy about that. It's come a far way.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to take a few questions from the comment section because you didn't tell me how much time you have, but you did tell me. And we have a few minutes left, right? You did
continue as long as, till the question stop. No problem. Continue.
Yeah. So all right. So Biru Golden says, Simon, do you have dreams of to coach one day? And let me ask the question this way so we can also be educated.
Sure.
In terms of what you went overseas to do, that program, it was a talent identification program, Scout. What was it exactly? And what did it entail? Where exactly, just for those that didn't hear before, so we can know what exactly it is and what you can do with it. Because he's asking about coaching. I know that I didn't hear you say you did a coaching badge, but you can answer the question, but also
Sure.
with the certification that you currently have.
Sure, I'll answer your question first and then go to the question in the chat. Yeah, talent identification is different from a coaching credential. Talent identification is really identifying the talent, finding the talent. And you're basically not using one game to judge a player, but even when you go to physics, they tell you if you want to increase your efficiency, you do more experiments. So basically, when you go into different settings, it's a rule of thumb. You use between 7 or 10 games to basically judge a talent of a player, not one game. I guess that's one of the reasons why Arsene Wenger said, he can't use 5 games to judge a player at a World Cup. So Arsene Wenger, he really signed a player out of a World Cup because he said, it's a small sample size to judge a player from 5 to 7 games, which is why, he when he signed players when he was manager at Arsenal, he used a larger sample size in terms of the talent that he brought in. So that was just one of the aspects of things. But in terms of the question in the chat, I mean, I never say never, but I wouldn't say that is a priority for me. No, not that is not on my mind in relation to coaching. No, that's not on my mind. Honestly.
Okay, different. Another question which I got on my phone though, and put in the chat. They're saying that your playing days, back to your playing days, because I guess they're interested to hear about the ball playing center of yours. What level did you actually play at? Do you play all prep and then you play in high school? And because you did tell us about who you played with, but how was it like playing football? And do you still play?
Okay, no problem. From a footballing standpoint, yes. Hillel Academy, prep and high and prep school, you'd have had the Alberga and Henriquez Cup, those competitions, the prep school league. So I would have come up against like a Omar Holness, for example, when he was at Mona Prep. And yes, he did score goals from a half line, Omar Holness, that is. So that was my age bracket. So I did come up against him. In high school, it would have been Pepsi under 14. My school did not play Manning Cup. It's a private school league that my school played in, not Manning Cup, because our coach, former national player Fabian Davis, felt that we we're not ready for Manning Cup competition. So we played in the private school league. The private school league, you have the American International School, you have Quality Academics, you have Priory, you have IAE, which is the Institute of Academic Excellence, you have Maths Unlimited, you have Pentab, which is located beside KC, you have Bel Air. So those are schools that are located in the private school league. So those Kingsway, so those are the teams that we played against in the private school league. So I didn't play Manning Cup, but I did play Pepsi under 14, which is of course more teams that you would find out in the Manning Cup. So played Pepsi under 14, and I did play in the private school league. I did.
Okay. Another question as it relates to the JPL. I don't want to ask you one player you think is going to be the leading goal scorer, because you did speak about the Bumpy Nelson situation and about players that needing to reach 30 goals. One, you say you think we have players with the capability of doing so, but give me who you think will be the top 3 leading goal scorers this year.
Yeah, I said a comment, about Brian Brown, and I think, it speaks volumes. It doesn't surprise me. I've watched him from his days at Rossies, so it doesn't surprise me. I've followed his journey. He's played at a World Cup for Jamaica, and many people don't know this, but he has played UEFA Champions League football. When he went to Albania, he played in the UEFA Champions League. Not many people know that. He's played UEFA Champions League football when he went abroad. But to answer your question directly, I know Brian Brown is injured at the moment. I'm not sure if he'll play tomorrow, but we'll see against Portmore. But you'd have to say in terms of the Golden Boot race, you're looking at perhaps a Warner Brown, a Jalmara Calvin, and a Brian Brown. Perhaps those 3. I know Shaquille Bradford, he could be able to score goals in bunches, like 2 in a game, and he puts himself back up in the race. So for me, I think it's still a bit too early to call. I think by the time that we get to the end of the regular season, I could have a better answer, because things can change and teams can drop out of the top 6. I think the top 4 or 5 teams in the league, I think they'll be in the playoffs. But 6th and 7th, that's close, and I think that could change. But we'll see how that is by the time April comes around. But yeah, Brian Brown, John Mara Calvin, Warner Brown, I think they 3 could compete for the Golden Boot. But it wouldn't surprise me if a Shaquille Bradford puts himself in that race as well.
Okay, and I'm so happy you call Jalmar's name. Because I don't know if you want to, if you have the knowledge or if you want to disclose, but we saw, again, I didn't see any quote in the article that he was trying to get his citizenship transition back to Jamaica. Is it back to Jamaica because it was Jamaican first? What knowledge you have of?
Well, he was born in Jamaica. First thing first, he was born in Jamaica, and he has a passport. Cool. Yes, he did play for Antigua and Barbuda, but this was 1 game, not 3 games. So he's not tied to Antigua and Barbuda. So for him to represent another international team at the senior level, what you would need is a transfer clearance. So if he is selected, what would need to happen is that there would have to be a transfer clearance. So like when Mason Holgate and Isaac Hayden played for Jamaica recently, they needed an international transfer clearance. Yes, they represented England at youth level, but still we would have to ask for a transfer clearance so that England FA acknowledges that yes, they played for us at youth level, but they're going to represent Jamaica at the senior level. So that basically is what an international transfer clearance is basically. So since he has played 1 game for Antigua at the senior level and a handful at the under-20s, that is the reason why he would need an international transfer clearance in that aspect if selected for Jamaica. So yes, still remains eligible to represent Jamaica. Still eligible to represent Jamaica.
But the possibility is still there. That's Simon. Simon says. All right. So this question now: how many games did Nelson score that amount in? Because you spoke of the 30+ goal season. Was it the same amount of games that is happening now? Because I think Jason Guna just really want to know if you're being unfair. If you're being unfair to the players now that they don't have enough games.
No, he had a 34-game season. And, at the end of the regular season, you have semifinals and then you have a final. So it wasn't like you had a playoff of 6 teams. What used to happen in JPL at the time was you had 4 teams fight for the title. First versus fourth and second versus third. And many times you had Hazard United versus Arnott in the final, eventually Portmore versus Arnott in the final. So, yeah, it was in terms of the games, it was in the 30s. So he almost had a goal per game ratio of 1 every game. So it was very, very impressive from that sort of standpoint. Christopher Nicholas was very close in that aspect of things as well. So, yeah, that's what I'd say there.
Yeah, definitely. So that's Simon. Your thoughts? I don't want to ask. I don't know if you want to answer this question, but yeah, I'll take a few questions. Your thoughts of if it exists? I don't know. The question from the comment section. I don't know.
Well, if he wants to know the answer to that, I think he can call Mr. Speed about it. I think Mr. Speed spoke about it in relation to the youth teams, but nothing in relation to the senior men's national team. And we've had evidence even at under 17 and under 20 girls where we've had 15 players born outside of Jamaica. So we've had that evidence. Currently, the under 17 boys, they're 12 players born outside of Jamaica. So, yeah, that's what I would say there. But if he wants further information, he can certainly reach out to somebody in the technical department for sure.
All right. So Miro Golden asking, what team do you support in the EPL? Tell them say it's a Liverpool fan.
Liverpool.
Come on, Simon. Come on, Simon.
Yeah, I'm a Manchester United fan. I've been there and watched them play as well. And yeah, in terms of this season, United will avoid relegation. That is what I'm sure about.
Will you reach 40 points yet?
Well, if we get 40, then I'll give thanks. Yeah, the structure, in terms of the whole aspect of things. You see, with Erik ten Hag, the Dutch style of things is very different. Because when you're giving information to players, you want to be to the point of things. And Erik ten Hag used to have half-an-hour team meetings with the players. That can be confusing when you go into the field of play. When you're a coach, you want to get your message across in a brief time so that they understand. David, when you're on the right-hand side, I want you to close on the left back. And And when we have possession, I want you to come centrally. To the point. Boom. But Erik ten Hag goes into very, 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 very deep aspect of things. And sometimes you confuse the players if you're having long and drawn out meetings. Your interest, your focus can fade. And that is one of the things that you could say Dutch mentality. It was the same with Louis van Gaal as well. So with Almerim, I guess that's one of those things that he has in his favor. His team meetings are never longer than 12 minutes. So we'll see. But that's one of the things with Erik ten Hag, in terms of United, the team meetings were way too long.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see if I can find any more before I go back into the last couple questions that I have. Jason said don't blame ten Hag. But yeah, going back into the last couple questions that I have, right? I just said we're looking forward to qualification. What's upcoming for the Reggae Boys this year in terms of all the games that they have to play, and what are you looking for the most upcoming? First, the upcoming games, and then what's to follow.
Yeah, February it's of course the two friendlies with Trinidad. In March it's the Gold Cup prelims against St. Vincent and the Grenadines, March 21 and March 25th. The next FIFA window after that is the World Cup qualifiers, June 7 and June 10. June 7 against British Virgin Islands away, June 10 against Guatemala at home. The CONCACAF Gold Cup is June 14 to July 6. Yes, we don't want to count our chicks before they're hatched, but if we beat the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we'll qualify for the group stages of the Gold Cup, June 14 to July 6. All the games are going to be in the west coast of the US and Vancouver in Canada. September, October, and November are FIFA windows for the final round of World Cup qualifying. So that shows the magnitude of how busy this calendar of year is for Jamaica. And that is why it is so exciting, because every month or every other month, there's something that is happening and excitement. So one step at a time, and let's get the results that we need in order to make this a reality. So it is a busy year.
All right, so the final question before I let you go though, Simon, because I know
no problem.
You have stuff to do as well. As it relates to the camp upcoming, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that you can't tell me who are some of the players, but in terms of JPL, in terms of some of the players in the JPL right now, because I saw some of the players advertising the game, and I don't want to draw a conclusion by saying, because some of the players that are advertising the game, they say I should be a part of the squad. I know that you saw that as well. So this is why I should get a call up. I see a few of the names. So in relation to like players that are in the JPL that would have played overseas, like a Ronaldo Biggs, who are some of the more exciting players you think? Just give me, I'm just gonna put you on the line. Give me 10 names, 10 players you're most excited to see that plays in the JPL. Just give me 10 names, 10 random names. Your 10 most exciting players from the JPL.
Well, the technical staff is going to meet in the coming days in relation to finalizing the 23 for the games, and on Thursday morning, I think at 11 a.m. That's still to be confirmed. We'll have that unveiled and revealed. But if I'm being frank with you, I'm looking forward to everything, every player, and I'll explain why. Because out of the domestic camp last year, we had 3 players that made the breakthrough from the JPL to be, I'm not going to call it the main squad, but 3 players that went to be part of every camp for Jamaica that year. And there were Kaheem Dixon, there were Richard King, and Shaquan Davis. 3 players made the transition to be part of every camp for Jamaica this year. So that should be motivation for every player, that if Kaheem can do it, if Shaquan Davis can do it, if Richard King can do it, then I can do it as well. It's a busy year, and you know exactly what's going to happen. In Gold Cup, you're gonna have persons on yellow card. You're gonna have suspensions in relation to accumulated bookings. You're gonna have injuries. So you have to have a deep pool. So everybody should be ready for their opportunity, because their opportunity will come. So everybody should treat it as something that is extremely, extremely serious, because in a matter of time, the opportunity can come like that as well. And that is why it's important as well that we have the domestic-based players have their visas as well, so that they can be able to be part of squads if called upon for a Gold Cup, for an example. So that is an important component. I saw a comment in the chat. I'm not sure persons will get the speculation from, that it's going to be an all-domestic squad for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'm not sure who said that, but I'm not sure why you would think that that is true. That is not true at all. I'm not sure who said that.
Yeah, but excellent answer to the question, because again, figure that you couldn't really answer those questions. Later on, I think I'll do a live tomorrow and tell you who are my players.
Yeah, I'll take a few from the chat. Ronnie M. No, Adrian Reid did not go to Trinidad last year for the 2 friendlies. He did not go to I was talking specifically from the domestic camps last year. At this time, 3 broke through to be part of every camp for the calendar year. Adrian Reid did not go to Trinidad with the senior men's national team. All right. And yes, Nitro, I'm aware that Richard King made his debut for Jamaica in 2022 against Peru. I'm aware about that. The point I'm making is that from the domestic camps, 3 from the JPL were part of every single camp for Jamaica in the calendar year of 2024. And that in itself should be motivation for every player as well.
Yeah, but Simon, leave the people them with, as I said, why we should come out as usual. We go make sure we support every reggae boys, reggae girls squad there is. And I'm looking forward to the domestic based squad. A lot of people, because there's a huge divide with the fans them. Who wants them local baseball or who wants them overseas baseball. Now this is an opportunity for us to see some domestic based footballers. So people need to come out. I don't need Simon for telling me so we have to come out, come full up the stadium and watch the youths them, But if Simon you want to tell them the reason why them for come out, tell them for come out. Because them for come out, we are go watch the youths them play. We are go catching all, and then we are the second game playing, right? First game playing catching all.
First game, Catherine Hall, February 6, Bob Marley's birthday, and February 9 at the Anthony Spalding Sports Complex. So February 6 at 7:30 p.m. and February 9 at 8 o'clock. And yeah, Nitro, Father Bling, I'm always going to be professional. So that standard is never going to go down. So that is the reason why I answer that question in that light. So you have to understand that there comes a level with professionalism with the role that you have. So that is not something that I would change. So hopefully you understand that particular. But yes, it's a great opportunity. It's Big Mac versus York, as what is being dubbed. McLaren versus York. So that will be a great reunion.
Manchester United connections.
Exactly. So that would be good. We're unbeaten in our last 4 games against Trinidad as well. So we want to extend that against our biggest Caribbean rivals. And like I said, let's see if we can be able to have 3 players like last year. Or so if persons can be able to hold their hand and say, I want to be part of the journey for the World Cup qualifiers. I want to be part of the journey for the World Cup, because opportunities, as you know, they just open up in life like that. So it is an opportunity. So that is what I would say. And yes, Nitro, again, I'm not sure if you read, you watched TVJ News on Thursday. Major Desmond Brown of Independence Park Limited spoke about the quality of the surface at the National Stadium and said that it would be ready for March. All right. Despite the track and field events that are taking place between now and March, the National Stadium will be ready for football in the month of March. So that is from Major Desmond Brown of Independence Park Limited. So that is what I would say there.
Yeah, definitely. But Simon, thank you for coming on the channel. Thank you for giving us some of the wealth of knowledge that you have. You have to go teach me how to memorize all these things that you do. I need to learn the strategies. But thank you for being such a great part of what is happening right now in Jamaica football. And I didn't want to say that personally. Thank you for all the work that you've been doing. It don't go unnoticed, bro. And thank you for coming here and sharing your story with us as well. If you have anything you want to leave the people them with on your way out, Simon, talk to the people them on your way out.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate that. I don't mind, just responding to a few more before we head out. I appreciate it against David. Thank you for having me. I'm not sure what Nakin's saying.
Yeah, I don't know what he's saying. That's why I've been ignoring it. Naki, Jordan, who you talking? Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan, who you talking to, Jordan?
Much more I hear my talk. Yeah, but Jason, as you know, since the start of the season till now, you've had JPL clubs playing 19 to 20 games, and with the JPL games being accessed on Y Scout as well, you have the ability to have JPL matches now on the Y Scout app. So it allows the technical staff as well to be able to take in more of the games as well. As you know, every weekend you have matches across the island. So even if Coach Gordon might be in Mobay or McLaren might be in Kingston, at least you have the technical staff monitoring the other 4 or 5 games taking place across the island, so that nothing is missed on the island. So hopefully you got that there. Nitro, I'm not sure what you're referring to with Major, what's in line before, because everything you said in terms of timelines have actually taken place as well. Redevelopment of the National Stadium, January 2025, that has started. The pitch being ready for March, that is something in place. So he has, in a sense, has been following close with those timelines. Yes, Jason Gona, games are not televised, are available on Y Scout. You have something called a VEO, where you have VEO cameras that are also set up to watch games, not from a broadcast angle, but from a technical angle. So the angles of games that are being watched, so what you might see on Sportsmax or any TV, the TV angle that you see is not the angle that coaches would have access to. It would be the technical angle. Maybe some persons might call it an overhead angle of things, but yeah, that is what I would say there. What is it? Well, Sanjay Books, you could say that is something that is taking place right now. Going to going to games within the Jamaica Premier League, also in the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup as well. The 3 Jamaican clubs, Arnett, Cavalier, Mount Pleasant, that has taken place. Earlier in the interview, I listed to David the clubs that he has seen so far, and also the games that he would plan to go as well this weekend and also into next week as well. So yes, that is something that has taken place and something that the assistant coach, Marion Gordon, has done as well. So that is not something that has been overlooked by any means at all. Let me take Christopher Wright. So in relation to Champs Christopher Wright, as I'm sure you would have heard, the general manager of the JFF, Roy Simpson, said that what will be explored by CONCACAF competitions department, he'll reach out to CONCACAF and see if we can have the legs swapped, because David, March 25th is the first day of Champs, and March 25th is the same day we're supposed to play St. Vincent. So what Mr. Simpson is saying, let us see if we can swap the legs. Play our first leg at home, play the second leg on the road, so there's no collision with Champs, because Champs dates are not changing. March 25th to 29th, that is Champs dates, and that is not changing at all. So that is why Mr. Simpson has brought together a suggestion, which he said that he'll put forward to CONCACAF if we can swap the legs. So let us wait and see what CONCACAF says about that, or if another alternative is put forward to the table. So I'm sure in time we will get that information. All right. And yes, Tycoon, if you go on YouTube, you press the join button and you press membership and you pay $9.99, you'll have access to the 2 games against Trinidad and Tobago. All right. If you're on the island, then come to the Montego Bay Sports Complex and come to the Arnett Garden Stadium, because think about it really. You could pay $10, which is 1,500 Jamaican dollars, to watch it online, or you come face to face and you spend $2.5. So whichever way you want to look at it, it's up to you. It's up to you.
Yeah.
So it's up to you how you breathe. Yeah, man, Jordan, big up yourself, man. As I said, Jordan, I never understood what you said earlier. I don't know if you're insinuating something about Moya, but big up yourself nonetheless, man. Yeah, man, good work with the interviews in the JPL. I like how, David, let me just add that in terms of the JPL, you have clubs that have that press conference sort of setup, they have their backdrop and everything. So I like that as well, which you've seen with a lot of clubs. Mount Pleasant have that, Arnett has it. So yeah, big up to Carlton, Chicken McCarthy, down at Arnett Gardens. Big up to Renata Brown, near Oxford at Mount Pleasant, for what they're doing, professionalizing it, making it feel, professional. So big up to that, and looking forward to all clubs doing that as well moving forward. If each club has one media representative, oh my days, information after information you'll have for days, So
For real.
it's a good look. It's a good look,
Real man, Simon. For real. We can do this for days, Simon. Don't be a stranger to the channel now. Don't be a stranger, okay? The people them are going to hear back here. But it was a pleasure having you. It was a pleasure hearing your story. Again, it's a pleasure giving you wealth of knowledge as usual. But Simon, big up yourself, enough love. And all the best, bro. Continue doing what you're doing. Not going unnoticed, all right?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yes, Tycoon, $9.99 is for the month. So basically 2 games. All right. So big up, man. Enough respect. Appreciate it. Thanks, David. Have a pleasant rest of the weekend. And yeah, man, keep the link as always.
All right, blessings, bro. Blessings. All right, people. There you have it. The walking encyclopedia himself, the man, Simon Preston. He give you a lot of knowledge, give you a lot of information, people. And big of yourself. People, do remember to smash the like button. Do remember to smash the like button on the way out. And do remember to share the video, because this is football. This is one of our national treasure them at the moment, Simon Preston. So I have to big him up. You see me, enough respect him, give a lot of information. You can't get more information than that. And we're going to try to get Simon here on the channel again before the year is out. So people that don't know, enough love until next time. It's your boy King. Do remember to smash that like button on your way out. Until next time, what good.